For audience members who feel like they're struggling with how much they're on their phone, can you give us, I mean, you mentioned your keystone habit that started it, but can you give us like three practices for digital wellness that you can start with, to start your game of balancing?
Yeah, I think that I have these 15 habits that I offer my clients, and I usually tease with like a few.
Tease us, Tommy.
So the first one that I think is most contextual for this conversation so far is that when we think about habit change, we often think that it requires like grit and willpower, and that it's like hard, or that we need to like have the motivation.
Effort.
Yeah, there's an effortfulness to it.
Yeah.
And there is that aspect, but there's like a whole other side of habit change that I feel like people discount, which is just as powerful, which is environment design. So if you can actually design your environment to make it easy for you to do the habit you want and impossible for you to do the habit you don't, then you don't even need to make any decisions with willpower, or, it just becomes...
Because you've set it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've set yourself up for success, and you don't even require that muscle. And, in my experience, the people who have the greatest willpower are the ones who need to wield it the least. So if you can actually create a lifestyle that just naturally supports the habits that you want and none of the ones that you don't, then you're going to be super successful. And so in terms of environmental design, when it comes to phone habits specifically, there's a few. I think the most important one is making your bedroom a phone-free zone. So if you can, and most people don't do this because they use their phone as an alarm clock.
Exactly.
But I've been hawking this $10 alarm clock on Amazon for like 4 years. It's the one that I use. I mean, there's better ones probably that are like more expensive, but honestly, it's like $11.
Yeah.
And it allows me to use that as my alarm clock in the morning, and then I charge my phone in the other room. And so that allows me to know that even if I couldn't check my phone if I wanted to.
Right when you wake up.
Right when I wake up.
And when you go to bed.
And when I go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the second habit kind of ties to that, which is make the first and last hours of your day phone free. So once you have your bedroom as a phone free zone, it's really important to then kind of honor that choice by being like, okay, I'm going to make the mornings for myself.
Yep.
Because you're setting a foundation for the energy that you're going to bring into the rest of your day. So if you wake up, and I'm actually releasing a video tomorrow that's also about this, but if you wake up and you check your phone, you're immediately seeing like the bad news, and your crypto just all disappeared, and there's an earthquake, and your mom's upset about something, and so like suddenly you're like seeing all this you're feeling all this cortisol, and that puts you in a reactionary state. That puts you in this kind of like fight flight state. And so then you take that reactionary state into everything that you do, and so you're more likely to then just reply to a bunch of emails or reply to a bunch of comments or DMs. And so then you're like doing this kind of lower level thinking, as opposed to what I think most of us really want, which is like, okay, I'm going to figure out what my priorities are for the day. Like, what do I want to focus on? And maybe have like a morning practice that helps ground you, or like to feel a sense of presence or gratitude. Like, could be as simple as like this morning, I've been recently enjoying just going outside and just like staring at the sun, like putting my face in the sun for like 30 seconds. And that like morning sunlight is good for your circadian rhythm too. So like just something like that, or like making a tea, or petting your cat, or if you want to meditating and, or journaling, like those types of morning rituals can do a really great job making you feel spaciousness.
Yeah.
And then you can bring this sense of presence and spaciousness into everything that you do. So you can be more present in all of your conversations, so that you can be more creative in your problem solving at work. And so that can be a really big shift. And, it's not easy, obviously, especially when you have this habit of basically using your phone to wake up.
Yes, which is what I do. It's like I'm half conscious in my bed. I'm not ready to get out of bed because I'm like barely functioning.
Exactly.
So it's like, and my phone's my alarm. So then it's like I grab for the phone, because it's a slow kind of starting to wake my brain up. But I do notice the issue of, okay, I just slept. I just, entered the void, the great abyss that I love so much. I love sleep. I'm obsessed. I just like reset whatever noise I was in the day before, emotions, all that, right? And now I'm a little groggy waking up, so I go to my phone to wake up, but now I'm with everyone and everything in the world.
Yeah.
I'm with every opinion on everything. I'm now forming opinions that I didn't even know I gave a shit about. I'm reacting to things either scary or just useless, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm all of a sudden taking in all this information, even if it isn't consciously making me stressed. It's just a lot of information because the way social media is designed, it's just like, it's a feed.
More.
So you're just getting hundreds of lines of different information and opinions. And I have noticed, I haven't done anything to stop it, but I have noticed like this isn't my favorite thing to do in the morning, even though it's my habit. Like I don't love immediately inundating my awareness with all this info. And now I have opinions about shit that I didn't even know I cared about first thing in the morning.
Yeah. And when you're in that kind of like flowy, half dream, half wake state,
Yeah.
you're highly suggestible.
That.
So if you were to wait and check the news or all that, once you've kind of created a proper foundation for your day, then it might not cause that same reaction.
Yeah.
But when you're highly suggestible, you're taking on that energy
Yeah.
of that feed.
Yeah, because our brain's like in a different brainwave state when we're waking up, right?
Yeah.
It's still like fluctuating. And I had read that before bed and when you wake up, it's actually the most powerful time for like affirmations.
Yeah, exactly.
Telling yourself what you want to believe about yourself, even if you don't yet. But that's the most powerful time to put it into your brain, is an hour before bed or an hour after waking, or while you're waking. Good
Because
time
your subconscious mind is kind of more available to
yeah,
more
you're in that
suggestible.
in between.
Yeah.
And the subconscious mind is really hard to get to. I think that's there are limits with our healing on an intellectual level. It's why I love talk therapy. I recommend therapy for fucking everybody at some point in your life. Have a therapist and talk to them. It's so helpful. But we can only access so much of our healing through our intellect, because a lot of it is happening through patterns that are deep in our subconscious. They're hard to get at. It's why really powerful experiences can get at them. It's why like ayahuasca and crazy stuff can actually get down into those spaces that are hard to get at. It's why people have life-changing experiences when they almost die, like stuff like that. It's actually getting into the subconscious. So it's hard to get in there, but learning like before bed and when you wake up, it's more accessible in those moments. And maybe taking a little more care of myself in those moments. It's like kind of nice to have that invitation.
Well, I like the way that you put that, because I think that is a great way to think about it. Like the way that you treat yourself in the first hour of your day, like that could be treated with care. Like how would you care for someone that's kind of in a vulnerable state?
Yeah.
A vulnerable mental state.
Well, I am in a vulnerable state when I wake up. Like I have to wrestle. That's part of why I go for the phone too. I have to wrestle my demons in the morning, right? Like I wake up and that's when I am vulnerable. That's like, okay, what am I going to do with my day? What am I doing with my life? Who am I? What is this? Am I an adult? Am I capable of continuing to pay rent? Can I pay my bills this month? Like all of that shows up in the morning, because I don't know, that's when it's there. And maybe part of grabbing for the phone is quieting that part of my mind, even though it's creating so much other noise, you know? It's quieting the demons that I don't want to face, because once I'm awake and I'm going, it's all good. But there is that moment where like every morning I feel like, maybe not every, sometimes I wake up all good, but like in that quiet of the morning and that grogginess, I am vulnerable. And that's where I do have to kind of like wrangle my insecurities back into maybe the progress I've been making or the vision I have, you know, like I have to wrestle my demons in the morning. Sometimes sometimes over the last few years, it takes me till like fucking 2, 3 p.m. to be like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm through all that bullshit. Now I can actually like focus on anything or call someone or do any of the things I need to do because I'm not just wrestling myself.
I don't think any of that's bullshit. I think all that's like really well spent time.
Yeah. No, it's true.
But
It's
yeah,
true.
I mean, I think that's amazing self-awareness of you that